Breaking tonight, the FBI has raided a Miami mansion, uncovering a sheriff and 17 officers secretly on cartel payroll with over one.
Today, we announced the largest law enforcement corruption takedown in the history of the state of Florida. What we uncovered was not a few bad actors. It was an organized criminal enterprise wearing badges, sitting in command chairs, and collecting paychecks from the American taxpayer while serving a foreign drug cartel. Those words came from a federal podium in downtown Miami at 11:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning that would reshape everything the state thought it knew about its own protectors. But before that press conference, before the cameras and the microphones and the grim-faced prosecutors, there was darkness. There was silence. There was a pre-dawn raid that would crack open a billion-dollar conspiracy hiding in plain sight. Let me show you exactly how deep this went. And I promise you, by the end of this story, the numbers will make your stomach turn. The operation began at 4:17 a.m. Eastern Time. Miami-Dade County. The city was asleep. A thin coastal fog drifted through the palm-lined streets of Coral Gables, where the mansions of the wealthy sat behind iron gates and manicured hedges. Streetlights cast long amber halos through the mist. Somewhere in the distance, a yacht horn echoed across Biscayne Bay. But on this night, the silence was a lie. 32 black SUVs rolled through the fog in perfect formation. No sirens. No lights. Behind tinted windows sat over 200 federal agents representing a joint task force of FBI, DEA, IC, and DHS tactical units. SWAT teams from 3 counties had been quietly mobilized. Black Hawk helicopters hovered miles offshore, waiting for the signal. This was Operation Coral Tide, and Miami was about to drown in it. At exactly 4:19 a.m., the first breach began. A 12,000-square-foot mansion on Arvida Parkway, registered to a shell company called Seaside Equity Holdings. The iron gate was cut in 11 seconds. Agents in black tactical gear moved across the lawn like shadows, their boots silent on the wet grass. The front door came off its hinges with a battering ram. Flashbang grenades lit the marble foyer like lightning. Shouts of FBI, "Get down," echoed through the house as agents swarmed through a living room that cost more than most people earn in a lifetime. Upstairs, a man in silk pajamas tried to run. He made it 6 steps before 2 agents pinned him to the floor. In his hands, he clutched a burner phone and a leather satchel stuffed with $50,000 in cash. But this was not the main target. This was just the accountant. Simultaneously, 9 other locations across Miami-Dade were being hit. A nightclub in Wynwood that had never once been cited for a noise violation despite operating until 5 a.m. every night. A seafood distribution warehouse in Hialeah that received shipments at 3 a.m. but never seemed to sell any fish. A luxury car dealership in Doral, where the average sale price was $400,000, but the customer list was full of names that did not exist. And then there was the real prize. A fortified compound in Homestead, 30 miles south of downtown Miami. This property sat on 11 acres of land surrounded by a concrete wall topped with razor wire. Satellite imagery had shown armed guards patrolling the perimeter. Thermal imaging revealed underground structures that did not appear on any building permit. The DEA had been watching this location for 19 months. They called it the Fortress. At 4:23 a.m., 3 SWAT teams approached from different vectors. Snipers took positions on elevated ground. A breaching team moved toward the main gate with cutting equipment and explosive charges. What happened next took less than 4 minutes but felt like an eternity. The gate blew inward. Agents flooded the compound. Gunfire erupted from a guard tower on the east side. 2 agents took cover behind an armored vehicle as rounds sparked off the metal. A sniper neutralized the threat with a single shot. Inside the main building, agents found what they expected and something they did not. In the basement, behind a steel door that required a thermal lance to cut through, they discovered a drug superlab. Not a small operation. This was industrial scale. Compression machines for fentanyl pills. Chemical vats for cutting cocaine. Packaging stations with heat sealers and vacuum equipment. Stacked along the walls were 847 kilograms of cocaine, 234 kilograms of methamphetamine, and 2.1 million fentanyl pills, each one stamped with a logo that federal agents recognized immediately. The mark of the Sinaloa cartel. But that was not the discovery that made the lead agent stop breathing for a moment. In a locked office adjacent to the lab, they found a wall safe. Inside were 3 things. First, $4.2 million in cash, bundled and wrapped in plastic. Second, a laptop computer with military-grade encryption. Third, a leather-bound ledger with handwritten entries dating back 7 years. And on the first page of that ledger, a name that changed everything. Sheriff Marcus Delgado, Miami-Dade County. The man responsible for over 3,000 deputies. The man who had stood at press conferences promising to crush the drug trade. The man who had shaken hands with governors and senators and appeared on national television as a model of law enforcement integrity. His name was written at the top of a payment schedule. Monthly transfers. Offshore accounts. 7 years of deposits totaling $18 million. But Sheriff Delgado was not alone on that list. 17 names followed his. Deputy chiefs, patrol commanders, narcotics unit supervisors, internal affairs investigators, 17 sworn officers of Miami-Dade County law enforcement who had taken an oath to protect and serve, and had instead chosen to protect and profit. This was not corruption. This was conquest. By 5:30 a.m., the raids were complete. 47 arrests across 10 locations. Over $89 million in cash seized. Nearly 3 tons of narcotics recovered. 14 luxury vehicles. 6 boats. 3 private aircraft. And enough encrypted electronic devices to keep federal analysts busy for months. But the investigation was only beginning. Let me take you inside what happened next. Because this is where the story stops being about drugs and starts being about power. 48 hours after the raids, a secure facility in Quantico, Virginia. FBI Cyber Division. A basement room with no windows and walls lined with servers. On the main screen, analysts watched as decryption algorithms chewed through the laptop recovered from the Homestead compound. Layer after layer of security fell away. Passwords cracked, files unlocked, and what emerged was a network diagram so vast and so intricate that the senior analyst had to sit down. They called it Project Tidewater. The name referred to the operational blueprint for transforming South Florida into the primary distribution hub for Sinaloa cartel operations across the entire eastern seaboard. Not a smuggling route, not a transit point. A permanent infrastructure designed to move narcotics from Mexico through Florida to every major city east of the Mississippi River. The diagram showed shell companies, 63 of them, ghost corporations registered in Delaware, Nevada, and Wyoming, fake import-export businesses, sham charitable foundations, a chain of laundromats, a fleet of food trucks, a seafood processing company with contracts in 12 states. Money flowed through these entities like blood through veins. Millions of dollars a week, disguised as legitimate business revenue, moving through offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, Panama, and Switzerland before returning clean to American banks. But the money was only part of it. The files revealed logistics, shipping routes, trucking schedules, port access codes, warehouse locations, a detailed map of how cocaine and fentanyl moved from the southern border to Miami, then spread north through Georgia, the Carolinas, Virginia, and beyond. And at the center of every critical decision, every major authorization, every strategic directive, was the digital signature of one man, Sheriff Marcus Delgado. His encrypted authorization codes appeared on drug shipment manifests. His approval was required for major financial transfers. His name was copied on communications with cartel leadership in Mexico. This man had not simply been bribed. He had been recruited, integrated, elevated within the cartel hierarchy to a position of strategic command. Analysts found evidence that Delgado had been providing the cartel with real-time intelligence on federal investigations for at least 5 years. DEA task force movements, wiretap warrants, informant identities. Every time federal agents got close to a major bust, the cartel knew about it first. Shipments were rerouted. Suspects fled. Evidence disappeared. And it went deeper. The 17 officers on the payroll were not random choices. Each one occupied a position of critical importance. Patrol supervisors who controlled which routes got heavy coverage and which got ignored. Narcotics detectives who decided which tips to follow and which to bury. Internal affairs investigators who made sure complaints about suspicious officers never went anywhere. The cartel had not just infiltrated the sheriff's department. They had redesigned it from the inside. One file recovered from the laptop contained what analysts called the corridor protocol. It showed how certain highways through Miami-Dade County had been quietly designated as safe transit zones. Patrol units were systematically reassigned away from these routes during specific windows. Traffic stops on these roads dropped by 94% during the designated hours. Drug convoys moved through these corridors like delivery trucks, hundreds of kilograms at a time, week after week, year after year. The honest deputies never knew. They showed up for their shifts, did their jobs, and had no idea that the patrol grid they followed had been manipulated to create invisible highways for the cartel. This is not negligence. This is not incompetence. This is engineered treason against the American people. But here is what makes this story truly terrifying. Sheriff Delgado was not working alone at the top. The files revealed communication chains that extended beyond Miami-Dade County. Encrypted messages to officials in Broward County, Palm Beach, Orange County. References to contacts in state government. Mentions of a figure the communications only referred to as the architect. Federal investigators believe the architect was a senior state official who provided political cover for the operation. Someone with the power to influence appointments, kill investigations, and ensure that the right people ended up in the right positions. They have not yet identified this person, but the search continues. Now let me show you what happened when the federal government decided to tear this network apart. Dawn. 3 days after the initial raids. A command center at U.S. Southern Command Headquarters in Doral, Florida. The largest coordinated law enforcement operation in Florida history was about to begin. On a massive digital display, a map of South Florida glowed with 127 red markers. Each marker represented a target. Properties, businesses, vehicles, bank accounts, individuals, all connected to Project Tidewater, all about to be hit simultaneously. In the room stood commanders from FBI, DEA, IC, DHS, the U.S. Marshal Service, and representatives from the Department of Justice. On secure video links, coordinators in 12 other cities waited for the signal. The operation would involve 1,847 federal agents, 46 SWAT teams, 18 Black Hawk helicopters, Coast Guard cutters positioned along the Florida coastline, even a U.S. Navy destroyer offshore, ready to intercept any vessel attempting to flee. At 5 a.m. exactly, the order was given. What followed was 6 hours of controlled chaos. In Miami Beach, agents hit a luxury condominium tower where cartel accountants had been hiding. They found 3 men trying to destroy hard drives with hammers. In the panic, $12 million in bearer bonds was scattered across a penthouse floor. In Hialeah, a SWAT team breached a warehouse that had been operating as a pill press facility. Inside, they found enough equipment to produce 1 million fentanyl pills per week. The chemicals alone were worth $30 million. In Homestead, agents discovered a tunnel system that no one knew existed. Half a mile of reinforced concrete running from the fortress compound to a seemingly abandoned farm property. The tunnel had ventilation, lighting, and rail tracks for moving heavy loads. It had been used to transport drugs into the compound and cash out of it for years. In Coral Gables, federal marshals arrested a circuit court judge at his home. His name had appeared in the ledger. He had received $1.4 million over 4 years in exchange for favorable rulings on cases involving cartel-connected defendants. Bail reductions. Evidence suppression. Charges dismissed on technicalities. In Doral, the car dealership was raided a second time. Hidden behind a false wall in the service bay, agents found a server room. The servers contained financial records for the entire network. Transaction logs. Payment schedules. Account numbers for 847 offshore accounts holding a combined total of $1.4 billion. $1.4 billion. The complete financial infrastructure of a cartel empire hiding in plain sight in the middle of an American city. By noon, the numbers were staggering. 312 arrests. $147 million in cash seized. 4.7 tons of narcotics recovered. 847 weapons, including military-grade rifles and grenades. 14 properties worth a combined $78 million. And the complete destruction of the Sinaloa cartel's Eastern Seaboard distribution network. But the human cost was what hit hardest. Among those arrested were Sheriff Marcus Delgado and 16 of the 17 officers on the cartel payroll. One had fled the country 48 hours earlier, tipped off by someone who has not yet been identified. A federal warrant for his arrest has been issued. He is believed to be in Mexico. The arrests of the officers happened at their homes, in front of their families. Children watched their fathers led away in handcuffs. Spouses collapsed in doorways. Some of these men had served for 20 years. They had commendations. They had pensions. They had betrayed everything. In the days that followed, honest officers in the department described a feeling of devastation that went beyond anger. These were men they had trusted, partners they had ridden with, commanders they had followed orders from. And all along, the enemy had been inside the building. The entire command structure of the Miami-Dade County Sheriff's Office would be rebuilt from the ground up. Every officer subjected to new background investigations. Every case handled by compromised deputies reviewed for potential wrongful convictions. The damage will take decades to repair, if it can be repaired at all. But the investigation did not stop at county lines. Let me zoom out and show you the true scale of what Project Tidewater represented. The distribution network extended far beyond Miami. Trucking routes ran north through Jacksonville, then split into branches reaching Atlanta, Charlotte, Richmond, and Baltimore. Secondary routes went west to New Orleans and Houston. Tertiary connections reached as far as Chicago and Detroit. All of it controlled from Florida. All of it protected by corrupt officials who ensured that shipments moved without interference. The fake seafood company alone operated 47 refrigerated trucks. Each truck could carry a legitimate seafood shipment in the front and up to 500 kilograms of cocaine hidden behind false walls in the back. Federal investigators estimate this single company moved 15 tons of cocaine per year for at least 4 years. The pill press operations produced fentanyl at a rate that defies comprehension. 2.1 million pills in a single seizure represents one facility operating for approximately 2 weeks. There were at least 6 other facilities that have not yet been located. The human trafficking component was perhaps the most disturbing revelation. Project Tidewater included migrant smuggling corridors that brought undocumented individuals from Central America through Mexico and into Florida via boat. These individuals were then forced into labor at cartel-controlled businesses, their documents held hostage, their families threatened. Federal agents rescued 43 trafficking victims during the operation. Most had been held for months, some for years. And all of this, every element of this sprawling criminal enterprise, operated with the protection of American law enforcement officers who swore an oath to uphold the Constitution. This is what cartel infiltration looks like in the modern era. It does not require open warfare. It does not require visible violence. It requires patience. It requires money. It requires finding the right people and buying their silence, their cooperation, and eventually their souls. The Sinaloa cartel understood this better than anyone. They did not try to fight American law enforcement. They recruited it. Now let me leave you with something to consider. Sheriff Marcus Delgado had a career spanning 23 years. He started as a patrol deputy. He rose through the ranks. He was elected sheriff twice, winning by comfortable margins both times. He appeared on television, gave speeches about community safety, and posed for photographs with children at school events. And for at least 7 years, he was on the payroll of one of the most violent drug cartels on the planet. How many other officials across this country are doing the same thing right now? How many sheriffs, police chiefs, city council members, state legislators, and federal employees have been compromised? How many investigations have been sabotaged? How many prosecutions have been derailed? How many dangerous people walk free because someone in power was paid to look the other way? We may never know the full answer. But this case proves that the threat is real. It is present. It is hiding in the institutions we trust most. Power does not always announce itself with violence. Sometimes it operates in silence. Sometimes it wears a badge. Sometimes it smiles at press conferences while signing off on drug shipments that will kill thousands of Americans. The fentanyl pills seized in this operation could have killed over 500,000 people. Every single pill potentially lethal. And those were just the ones they found. Millions more had already been distributed before the raids. They are out there now, on streets and in schools and in medicine cabinets, waiting to claim their next victim. This is not an abstract problem. This is an American emergency. The federal investigation continues. More arrests are expected. The search for the architect remains active. And honest law enforcement officers across South Florida are working to rebuild the trust that was so thoroughly betrayed. If you watch this entire story, do me one thing. Tap like so more people see this. Comment the word exposed if you want corruption dragged into the light. Share this with someone who needs to understand what is really happening behind closed doors in this country. And remember, this story is fictional, a dramatization created to illustrate real issues that face our society. But the threat it represents is anything but fiction. The cartels are here. They are powerful. They are patient. And they are always looking for the next badge to buy. The question is whether we will find them before they find us. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and never assume that the uniform means protection. Sometimes, it means exactly the opposite.